our very first raised garden bed with a planter block and plywood, and we have, I don't know what the dimensions are, 4 by 7 feet. This is 4 by 7 feet. 11 bags of potting soil, about a third bag of straw. We anchored the bricks, and now I'm just going to mix the soil. In order to transplant the seeds directly into the soil, because I'm impatient and I don't want to start the seeds inside, the soil has to be 65 to 70 degrees. And this is perfect for the front yard because the front yard gets nothing but sun all day. So it's great that these beds are going to be in the front yard. So what I'm doing now is mixing the soil and the straw so that when the roots start to grow, the roots have a lot of space and air to grow and a lot of organic material to grab onto underneath the soil. And the straw also helps to retain moisture and keep the roots from crowding each other out and gives them a lot of space to grow. So we're going to do that today and then let this settle. We may need a couple of more bags of soil after it settles, but then we'll be able to transplant the seed. And what we're going to do to make sure that the soil, to transplant the seeds directly into the soil, is that we're going to get plastic sheeting, clear plastic sheeting, to put over the bed so that the sun heats up the soil even more. So it's like we almost have a greenhouse. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm mixing the soil. Mixing up the soil and the straw. It doesn't have to be perfect, just getting it mixed in, getting a little evened out. You see it's not as even as it should be here. And just going to mix it up a little bit, even out some of this soil. And underneath all of this is a layer of cardboard, and under that is weed barrier to keep the weeds from invading our garden bed. Now, weeds being what they are, they're going to find a way to get in, but it's a lot fewer weeds with the barriers down than if we didn't have it. Like I said, this doesn't have to be perfect, this doesn't have to be completely even, but I do want to spread some of this soil out here. You want the soil to be loose and airy so that when the seeds do germinate and the roots start to develop, they're not having to fight compacted soil to propagate roots. Shovel and move some of the soil down a little bit.
And so what tools do you need to do all of this stuff?
What tools do you need? Well, first, we tried this year, I should say last year, we tried those big canvas bags for raised beds, and they're okay, but I wasn't really happy with the yield. I felt like the soil was too easily compacted in those bags, and I feel like that may have impacted the yield a little bit. I don't know, climate change probably did it also, and it just didn't produce as many vegetables as I wanted. So this year we went with the permanent solution of, and show people here, these planter blocks. So these planter blocks, you can see they're stacked too high. You can stack them as high as you want. You can get these at Home Depot, Lowe's, I think your garden supply stores. We got ours at Home Depot only because Lowe's was sold out, and there's a Home Depot like less than 5 miles from us.
And we need to mention that a lot of people, especially since the pandemic, a lot of people have been getting into gardening.
A lot of people have been getting
So you
into
can't
gardening.
assume that you can just go to these places and they'll have what you need.
And that was the problem we ran into last year. I think one of the reasons why we did do the canvas bags because the permanent solutions for raised beds were sold out.
Well, yeah, because there was a shortage on lumber,
Exactly.
especially during the beginning of the pandemic.
Right. So you have to keep all this stuff in mind, supply and demand. But these individual blocks were like $2.97 at Home Depot, and I understand Home Depot is. There are contradictions with shopping at Home Depot. I'm just telling you, if you can find them at Lowe's, great. They're about the same price, $2.97 per block. And if you can find them at an independent garden store, that's wonderful. But these are really great because you don't require any drilling. You don't need any tools. All you need are wood planks that are 2 by whatever length you want. So the groove in the planter block here is 2 inches wide. So you need to make sure your planks are 2 inches wide. The planter block, I think, is 6 inches tall. So your planks are going to be 2 by 6 by whatever length you want them to be. So that's what we did. We got a bunch of planter blocks. This board here, the short end is 2 by 6 by 4. The long ends are 2 by 6 by 7. And we have 4 planks to make a nice deep bed. And that's what we use. We just happen to have some garden stakes.
But you said that I mean, because we just doing it because we got them. But you said that rebar would be better.
Rebar would be better because rebar is one long thick piece of metal to anchor the bricks. But I had a bunch of these, like 30 of them left over from last year, and these are just plain old plant props. So we put like 6 or 7 of them together and anchored the blocks. These are just temporary solutions. These are like $1.50 a piece at the home improvement stores. Put them in the center holes in the blocks to anchor the blocks, and that's it. But again, rebar is better because rebar is way thicker. It's much more sturdy. So
I noticed too that a lot of the pollinators are out this spring.
The
bees, we got. I mean, I'm seeing more butterflies than we did yet last year. So I think that a lot of that is the results for people who don't know, about where we live. But there's an effort by a lot of organizations and stuff that have done a lot with the natural habitats. Like we have beehives that people are maintaining throughout the city. There's other people are cleaning up a lot of the lots and stuff like that. So I think that this is and also the creek behind us has been cleaned. So that's bringing back a lot of wildlife. So it's just these little simple things we can do that can really make a difference. As far as making an immediate impact on our environment.
Exactly. I mean, I think one of the problems we had last year was we didn't have a lot of pollinators. We realized, 2 years ago, and 3 years ago, that was the last time I ever used Roundup, because I would kill the weeds in the backyard with a little bit of Roundup, and then I'd plant my flowers and stuff. But I noticed 2 or 3 years ago that we didn't get any tomatoes. We didn't get any cucumbers, which is unusual. Cucumbers are the easiest things to grow, pretty much. And I couldn't figure out why. And then we realized maybe it's the Roundup. So the next year, we didn't use anything, no chemicals to get rid of the weeds, just other than the hands and some mulch. And we had a nice crop. So,
and we know that Roundup is bad, so that's why we stopped using it. So please pay attention to what we're saying.
Please pay attention.
Because there's always that one person that's going to be like, Roundup is bad. You shouldn't use Roundup. That's why
we know that. This is what we're saying.
Right.
We have seen from our own experience that Roundup is a detriment to gardening. Pollinators do not like the chemicals.
It actually kept the birds away too.
It did.
Yeah.
Because we have a bird feeder back there. The birds didn't like it, the squirrels didn't like it, the pollinators didn't like it, and so we got a really crap crop that year. But ever since we stopped using Roundup, with the exception of last year, we got a really good crop.
But
So
last year we had a very heavy rainy season.
it was
last year.
really wet last summer. It rained more last summer than I have ever seen in this area, and that's climate change. I think that's a result of climate change. So if you look at the garden bed now, and I don't know if you can see, we already have. Let me go over here. These are actually winter. These are what's left of our winter crop. Actually, these are kale, broccoli. I think that is probably collards.
Or lettuce, right?
I think. I'm not quite sure. My sign is gone. These are collards. And this is some more kale. And I say these are winter crops because you can grow them in the winter. So what I did was...
We never took them in.
We never took them in. They are winter hardy. They will be out all winter long. They like snow, especially the broccoli and the collards. They got snowed on. They got rained on. They were out here in 30-degree weather. And you see how they're coming out for a nice crop. And I know Baba wants to eat them right now, but we should wait a few weeks before so they can get a little bit bigger, so we can have a nice pot of greens for the two of us. We're going to let that one keep growing. And I think one of our pollinators may have transferred the seed over to the mailbox.
Yeah. Did we look at that? Because maybe somebody,
let's go look at that.
Maybe somebody out there can identify and tell us what it is. One of you expert plantologists.
Yeah, so this definitely looks like some collards to me. And we didn't plant this here. We think that one of our pollinator friends, the birds or, the bees, dropped a seed over here.
Good, how you doing?
How you doing? Dropped a seed over here, and our little...
Because it definitely looked like a vegetable.
Yeah, it looks like a vegetable. We think it's collard, so I think we got a collard plant growing at the mailbox here, thanks to our pollinators.
Now the problem of it is with that, that's the area where Brewski Peas had a lot.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
so we probably will not eat that.
That's a tough that's a tough collard if it is, because Brewski's urine has been known to destroy everything else.
But you know what? He doesn't really pee at our mailbox. He likes to pee at other people's
mailbox. Right. I don't know what that's about.
I don't know what that's about, but so that's just an interesting thing.
But if anybody know what that is, please let me see if I can magnify a little bit. There it is. See, that's it right there. So any of you guys out there who have any knowledge about what this may be, please put it in the comment section. Let us know.
Yeah. So let's go even out our existing garden bed.
Oh, and as you see, that's right. We are advocates for DC statehood.
That's right.
You see our sign out here.
And also, as you see, we've got some more planter blocks. So this is the first bed. We're going to have another bed right in front of this one, going right to the end of the sign there, because really, we don't see a need to have a lawn.
Right.
We can use this space.
Lawns are vanity.
Lawns are vanity.
I mean, to me, it's just like a golf course. It's like a waste of
a waste of land. And lawns are really like this extension of this capitalist ideology of this is how you know you've made it when you're able to have a house with a lawn.
Right.
So, but I'm a country girl. He's a city guy who likes the fact that I'm a country girl and can grow and feed him nice, fresh vegetables. We don't waste land.
Yep.
This lawn is a waste of land. Why have, this grass that we try
with all this dirt on and stuff, and
that actually cutting grass all the time is bad for the ecosystem, because grass attracts the pollinators.
Right.
When you cut the grass, you drive the pollinators away. So why do that when we can use this space to grow food?
Imagine the power that the community can have if everybody utilized their lawns in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that we hope we're going to do, Baba, is that this space will be for food that we can share with the community, because we have a whole backyard.
Yep.
That we're going to replicate these beds in to grow our food.
And the thing of it is, we always talk about food deserts and stuff, and that's important.
Mm-hmm.
But there's things that you and I always talk about, like, there's things that we can do now without having to always wait for the benevolence of the corporate structure or politicians to say, okay, black people, yeah, you're right. We're going to, or the private corporations deciding that they want to place a Whole Foods or some, we just don't have time to wait for all of that.
No.
I mean, we could fight for those things because we know that everybody can't do what we do,
right.
But at the same time, there's things that we can do right now to basically empower ourselves. That's what it is. I mean, growing food is empowering.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, and I'm glad that you said that not everybody can do what we do. We have to be careful that we're not sending the message that this is what everybody should do. Listen, these materials cost money that we are fortunate to have a little bit extra of, right? We're not wealthy, we're not rich at all, but we are in a position where we have a little bit extra money where we can go to Home Depot, and this whole thing cost us probably what, $200?
Something like that, yeah.
$250. I mean, that's not like, we don't just have that laying around. We budget and that kind of stuff, but we are also, I'm paid well for what I do for a living. Abdus has worked all his life. He's fine. We are fortunate. We understand that 20% of the population of the 43 million African people in this country are living below the poverty line, and tens of millions of more of us are living very close to the poverty line, where $250, $300 at Home Depot for rent, that's not something millions of our people can afford.
Right, because right around the corner we have a lot of our people are living in apartment complexes just around the corner from us.
Right, just around the corner. So and
they're not even. I think you and I. That's one of the things that I think that some of the public housing organizations been fighting, that these public housing. And when we say public housing, we're talking about not privately owned,
right.
That they won't allow the residents to utilize the land.
Right. And that was something that actually, now that you mentioned that was something that, our friends up in Baltimore, Eddie Conway, they fought for in some of the public housing complexes for the residents to use public land to build a community life. So at some point we're going to do a couple of videos on how to do what we did right here. Go to Walmart and get a $5 to $7 plastic storage bin and get a couple of bags of dirt, throw some seeds in it, and you can grow a few vegetables in whatever space you have. Right. But we also understand that for millions of people, there is no extra money. It's easy for us to say, oh, you can just go to Home Depot and get blah, blah, blah. But some people just don't have that. And if people don't, and if people do have that, then some people don't have the know-how. They don't know how to do it.
Exactly.
So we have to be careful that we recognize how fortunate we are in order to be able to do this and to be encouraging for people to try. But we also have to be careful that we're not telling people that, oh, everybody can do this. That's absolutely not true. So, we hope that we're in a position to help people learn something new, to do something for themselves that maybe they didn't know how to before. So that's what we hope. So let me get this soil evened out a little bit. And the other things that you'll need, the other tools that you'll need for this little project are, things like a hammer or a mallet to pound your rebar in, a shovel, and this hand tiller that I've probably had this thing for 10, 15 years because I love to garden. Again, these tools cost money, so we are keeping that in mind.
Well, what we can also let the people know is that we can always use, if you can utilize Facebook Marketplace,
yep.
Other places where people sometimes sell these things for practically little to nothing.
Little to nothing. Facebook Marketplace is a great resource. Your local thrift store,
right?
If you have them, if you have a Habitat for Humanity Restore, the store is actually called Restore, where they sell excess building materials,
right,
that they've used for their home building projects.
And also because this was told to me, a lot of you people know that I was in the construction field, so this was told to me a long time ago, is that there's nothing wrong with if you see a housing development being built, it's nothing wrong with going to the housing development and asking them, do they have scrap wood around?
Yep.
Or any kind of scrap material that you could use, because they're not going to do nothing but throw it away anyway.
Exactly. It doesn't cost. They've already paid for it.
Right,
It doesn't cost them anything.
Exactly.
If you ask them if you can use their cast offs.
Right.
See, we have been conditioned to be individualistic, and we're ashamed to ask people for help. We have become so ashamed to ask, hey, can I have that? Because we don't want to look like we poor.
Right.
Y'all, we poor.
And everybody knows we're poor. See, that's the thing. We're only lying to ourselves because everybody else knows we're poor. They read the news too.
Yep. So just to tell you, I'm making a mess, and that's okay. Just to tell you, the other reason I do this, and in a couple of weeks I'm going to start planting a bunch of flowers. And actually what I'm going to do with these beds is I'm going to mix flowers and vegetables, because the pollinators love that. They like to get the nectar from the flowers, and while they're hanging out in the flowers, then they can pollinate the vegetables. So another reason why I do this gardening, it's incredibly therapeutic. It is very, very relaxing. It's not for everybody, but for me, this is like, it's almost as good as therapy, but not quite as intensive. But there's something about working in the soil, in the dirt with your hands, and taking something from a seed and watching it grow into a flower, something beautiful that other parts of creation can enjoy, and then growing something that that you put in the ground and putting it on your table. That is there's something really, really powerful, and it makes me feel really close to creation. So it makes me feel like I'm a part of this wonderful thing called creation, and I'm not just here, taking up space.
And we always talk about how when we do this type of work, and with work I mean, I said when you're in the when you're out here, as we say, in the struggle, you have to take time out for your own part of what they call a self-care. Is being able to take care of yourself. And sometimes you got to disconnect from the struggle and do things so you can recharge your batteries.
Yeah.
And and for some of us it's doing this, for others it's listening to music, or like we do every Sunday, we just don't do anything. Like we just Sunday is just our downtime. We try not to do anything, just relax, because it has to be a balance in life. So part of that self-care is making sure that you take care of yourself.
So yeah, evening this out a little bit, and I may put 2 more bags of soil on top.
No, we don't have any.
Yeah, like I said, we used 11 bags yesterday, and I'm not good at math, so I don't calculate the cubic feet that I need very well.
But look, share this video when because this will be on our Luqman Nation channel. So share this video, and hey, let's get a community going. Let's get a community of like-minded folks. We're gonna call this revolutionary gardening.
Oh yes.
Because gardening is revolutionary. It's part of one of the principles of being self-sufficient. So and it's a key skill, survival skill, that we should try to obtain. So can't let Whole Foods and them get all the money.
No, we got to save some ourselves and take better care of our health.
Right.
Because when you grow your own food, you know what goes in it, so you're not surprised by anything that comes out of it.
Right. And and then when we leave the power of feeding us to just a few people, all they gotta do is just say, we ain't feeding you no more.
Right.
And then where are we then?
Or take these chemicals.
Right.
You want to eat and don't complain.
So we're basically going back to our roots, because this is the way people used to do it anyway.
Yep.
And those of us who are a certain age remember our grandmothers and them having those gardens.
Yeah. I grew up getting up in the summer, 4 o'clock in the morning, plucking tomatoes and being scared of tomato worms, and picking vegetables and picking green beans and stringing them for dinner that night. So yeah, I hated it then, but it's a wonderful thing.
I remember we had a church dinner one time. I'm never going to forget it. And I mean, these were these folks that went to the church were straight up country folks, man. Everything we ate came from there. It was like from the farm to the table. And I had got me some collard greens out of the pot, and was wondering why this one collard green didn't look like a collard green. It was a worm.
It was a worm.
Yep.
We didn't wash those greens well enough.
Right.
So actually, yeah, as I'm mixing this up, this is enough soil. This is good. So later on today, after the sun heats up this soil a little bit more, we're going to put the seeds in, some of the seeds in. Because again, for the seeds to germinate well, the soil has to be 65 to 70 degrees.
65 to 70 degrees.
Yep. Which is why you can't plant, if you're going to sow seeds directly into the soil in the ground, you have to be careful that you don't plant too early. You have to be sure that you do it after that last frost at night of the season, or else the frost could kill your seeds. So this is why people start their seeds indoors and then transplant the young plants into the ground afterward. But again, I'm lazy, so I don't want to do all that.
So you got this. This is our first video. So you see how to start. And so we're going to have subsequent videos that's going to, but you guys are going to follow the progress right along with us. And hey, maybe a lucky person out there will ship. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But we'll find a way to, we'll have a drawing or something, and we'll ship something to you from our own garden. Okay. All right.
Figure out how to do that.
So anyway. Thank you for tuning in. Share this video and stay tuned for other episodes of Gardening with the Luqmans. Revolutionary Gardening. Peace.